like our waiting room is starting to slow down a little bit. So we'll kick this off. So welcome to Community Conversations. This is AutoCAD Electrical with Tiffany. And I'm Tiana. I will be your community speaker for today, kind of emceeing this. So Community Conversations, a quick overview of what it is. It provides opportunities for engineers, designers, artists, and makers to meet in a safe and live virtual setting, to share expertise, get to know leaders in your field, and really just kind of grow your community network. The sessions are always supported by Autodesk community managers. So myself, you might know Chris, Kimberly, and Wendy, usually sometimes Sean as well. We are here to help guide conversation, kind of feed important insights back to the community, and also to Autodesk, and really support you guys while you are participating in these events. And then in the chat, there will be a link to our community conversations page. So keep an eye out for that. Thank you, Chris. Before we begin, just a couple of things, just some ground rules. Everyone's line is muted to reduce background noise. You can turn on when you have questions, feel free to come off mic and ask. We do invite you to keep your camera turned on if you're comfortable with it, so we can just kind of get to see your faces in a more physical environment, since we are all, kind of virtual nowadays. Then this conversation should be a conversation. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand and use the raise your hand function on Zoom. It's down in the corner under reactions. I just kind of put a little image down in the corner to show you guys in case you're unfamiliar with it. Or either that, feel free to type in your question and use chat. We do have our moderator and I will also be keeping an eye on the chat. So if you guys have questions, you can ask it there as well. The session is recorded, and a link to the session will be uploaded to our community conversations site. So just by participating in this session, you are giving your consent to be recorded. This is our safe harbor statement. Just quickly, it just basically says that if we make any forward-looking statements, we don't want you making any purchasing decisions based on those statements. If you are making purchasing decisions, please look at the state software as now. And that's really all this long slide says. And today's community hosts, again, I'm Tiana. I am the Autodesk community manager for AutoCAD and subscription management. I'm based out of Boston. And I will hand it over to you, Tiffany.
Thank you so much. Great to see everybody. Great to have you all back together again. I know we took a bit of a hiatus this summer and a bit briefing, so it's really good to get back together with everyone and excited about today's user group. I believe, Tiana, you're taking it back over from me right before I truly kick it off. Oh, no. Okay. So sorry. So slightly different than typically we talk about some of these questions, but that's great. I will take it from here. Thank you, everybody. Again, good to see you all. Excited to have you on. We are excited about these sessions. They're kind of going through an evolution, and so today will still be the same, but I introduced to you a new team member who has recently joined us here at Autodesk, also named Tiffany. I'm hoping to actually have her take lead on these moving forward. She is not with us today on the call, but I will be looking to have that start happening more as we go into the next sessions. I will still be here, and so we'll be teaming up as opposed to it just being me. So you'll get both Tiffany's, which will be fun to have dueling Tiffany's. It'll be good times. The other person that we are typically joined by, and actually I was trying to find him because I was not aware that he was not on it, is Matt Durst, who often helps me facilitate this, check what's going on in the questions pane, and he also helps answer your burning Vault plus AutoCAD electrical questions. But I don't see him on here, so we may have to table a bit of the, and yes, Chris, I love your comment of 2 Tiffany's. Can we handle that? I don't know. We're gonna have to see. It may break Zoom. Zoom. No, I'm just kidding. But we may have to table any vault style questions. I'll do my best to answer them the way that I can, but without Matt, he is often who I lean on for the vault side of things. So with that said, as we're kind of kicking off and going into some of these early discussions, please feel free, as always, for those of you who have been here before, to fill out any questions that you have in the chat window, or feel free to raise your hand and we're happy to have you unmute and be able to openly ask your question. So for those that have never been here before, this is an open forum. It's a full hour of us just here to answer your questions. Beginner, intermediate, advanced, whatever it may be, we're happy to help. And it's also great to get other people's opinions. So I strongly encourage being able to share. If you have ideas about somebody else who asked a question and you have thoughts on that, it does not need to be me answering it. I would love to hear others pop in and also ask questions or make comments about the questions being asked, in order to actually truly make this a community conversation. So I always feel like we learn really great nuggets from each other. And so I fully encourage that, and excited to hear your inputs as well as we look at these questions as they come in. All right, I'm checking I see some things popping up. Not, okay, I think just comments, not necessarily questions yet. So, I mean, I can just start asking you random questions about how your summers have been, how everybody's doing. Do people who have kiddos are off to school? I mean, we can make this whatever kind of conversation you want. But Rawson, great to see you on here. Welcome to the call. I don't know if I've ever seen you on the office hours before.
No, but I'm very interested into development of competing functionality in Fusion. So I want to hear from you guys how you do it.
I love it.
And we can think about how we can do it in Fusion.
I love that.
Not competing, sorry. You know, you'll see the Fusion logo here, sorry.
Yes.
I don't have an AutoCAD shirt, so.
No, that's brilliant. I knew what you meant. How we can get more of the electrical experience into Fusion, as we all have. If anybody didn't know this is a great thing to kind of start off with while we're waiting to see questions that people may have. I often get asked, well, what about the EMX workflow that's in Fusion? What does that do differently than electrical? And I always have to make sure that I level set that those are two very different things. What we have in Fusion was originally a product called Eagle that then became Fusion Eagle and is now just fully integrated. And that is really around PCB design. It is brilliant. It is an absolutely amazing end-to-end tool and does interact directly with that full EMX workflow, but it's not controls design. So it's not the side of electrical that we really use electrical for. So I do get asked, like, can I do the same things? And they are not. They are intended for different uses. So amazing to have you here, Rawson, and talk about more of, you know, what we're doing in electrical and how we might be able to get that into Fusion too. So always exciting. Always love having people from the product team join us. It's always fun.
I'm just here to quietly listen and maybe ask questions, maybe stupid.
Love it. Yeah. Amazing. You guys are a quiet group today. Typically there's maybe a little lull in questions, but then it typically starts flooding. I'm not seeing a ton yet. Everybody's doing great. Has anybody used electrical for something really outside of the box that they want to share with? Is anybody stretching it to new limits? I was recently asked, I was in some meetings with a customer who is actively trying to actually connect it to Revit, and then Revit connection to be able to bring in more things that we're doing from the electrical aspect, but into buildings, as opposed to really the machine control design that we've often looked at electrical for. So Heath, sorry, great question. I'm sorry, I read my above note. Updates on when, if it'll go full SQL. So let's dig into that a little bit. There is quite a bit that is fully integrated into SQL. We allow both. So we allow both databases to be run either out of Microsoft Access database, or you can set it up SQL based. But all of the databases, I guess I shouldn't say all, most of the databases that we would be doing anything like that with are fully integrated into SQL. And so you have the option to put that in there. It's the catalog, the footprint databases, those things. Is there something specific that you're hoping to get into SQL that's not there? I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I'll be glad to answer that. So a lot of our
Great.
clients are looking for the ability to just completely get rid of access. And right now,
Yep.
the footprint lookup and the catalog database are the only two supported on SQL. So your PCB, your electrical standards, all those are still access based. And if everything would go SQL, they could just ditch access. And that's kind of what the question revolves around.
Great. Great question. I'm curious. So I think the product team's goal has been to take the things that we're editing very actively and get those into SQL. You're often not, the standards database, some of those other things are not typically accessed on a regular basis. It's being managed by Access in the background, but not something that typically is being edited or managed or maintained as a global scaling on that. That's interesting though, that those may be things. I mean, I would love to share that back with the product team as a potential opportunity to grow that SQL footprint. I think that that's really huge.
Well, when you do, the main reason the clients we've dealt with that want that is security reasons. They want the added security of SQL and would like to have access out of their system.
Okay. That is good to know. I will take a note on that. That is great to know.
Tiffany, there was another quick thing about SQL. I'm not sure if you've touched base on this or not, but can we get SQL replication similar to Vault replication?
Oh, that's a good question, and one that I'm not sure I can fully answer to the same level that Matt would be able to, because my understanding is so Vault and AutoCAD Electrical play very, very, very nicely together. In fact, I often, if you've been on these forums before, I often speak to the fact that I actually think the electrical integration is even more elegant than Inventor, and Inventor and Vault were designed for each other. So that's a big testimony. It's not that Inventor's bad, like it's obviously quite elegant, but the fact that electrical is even more so to me just is a really big testimony to how well they work together. If you set up Vault with SQL, and then you're using Vault with obviously electrical, and you're doing the electrical pieces within SQL as well, it should be the full integration that you can do that same replication. But this is not my space. The data management side of it is not my space. So I would definitely want to relay that question through the data management experts on my team, and happy to do so and report back to this team the next time around. So. Great question.
And then there's one more SQL related question. So getting SQL timeout crash when using VPN, is there a way to change timeout using SQL Studio?
That is also a great question for the product team. Not sure about changing the timeouts on that. I believe that's core product functionality that we would just have to see what we could edit or monitor in that point. So
I believe that was updated in 22 where you can change the SQL timeout.
Was okay, that's good to know. I'll have to double check on that to make sure. Thank you very much, Heath. That's awesome. That's a great question. So if in 2022, I do not, just so you all know, I do not operate in SQL at all. So the SQL questions, well, I can talk to you high level about what we're doing in it, are not typically the space that I'm in. We've seen some customers want to go towards that adoption. In most cases, people are still in the Access database world. And for me personally, what I run when I'm running my own computer, because I run not in the environment you would typically run in a corporate environment, because I sit very much standalone, being a consultant of it, or a previous consultant. It's not really the world that I'm in anymore, but I still do these because I love all of you guys and I love the product and I love continuing to help share this. But that's good to know. And thank you for the link, Heath. That's awesome. This is why these communications are so fantastic during these conversations, these community conversations. I love it. Brilliant.
And then there was another one a little bit way up in the chat, but Claudio mentioned Revit MEP synchronization. I don't know if he was asking about that with electrical, or Claudio, if you could maybe speak some more to that.
I think I can take a guess while people are coming off of mute for some of these. I think that was in relation to me talking about the recent conversation I had around the integration with Revit, and that is exactly what people were asking about. Was is there something that can be done where that connects directly to Revit with that MEP need, basically stretching what we're doing within MEP within Revit to also including some other the tools that we have within electrical. It's been interesting. I've actually met with leads from the Revit MEP side of the product team, as well as our electrical product management, all talking about, what kind of needs are out there? Why are we seeing a stronger demand for this? Is there something that we can do that can go into Revit directly, or is it more about direct synchronization that would really be impactful? And so those are all things that we're discussing. Again, no, as the safe harbor states, no promises on that, but all things that we're looking at as a team to say, what are the needs that we're seeing from customers? What are the asks that we're seeing? What is the demand? And even on that note, one of the kind of interim solutions we've talked about is the ability to step through, we've created the interaction between Revit and Inventor to be much stronger. So is in the short term, is there an opportunity to take, obviously electrical and Inventor talk directly to one another? If you don't know that, that is true. That's what our EMX workflow between electrical and Inventor are. It used to be an import export. It is not. There's a direct linkage now. And if you take your electrical to Inventor and then take your Inventor to Revit and back and forth, there is a bit of a way to have that whole connected area. But those are all kind of the goals as we look at our platform needs as a company, the interconnection of all of our products, and really curating that synchronized experience across all of these core products that we all use. So if that answered what you were talking about, Claudio, I hope that helped. If you have more to your question, then please feel free to ask.
And then Donald just asked a question. This might be out of left field, but is there any movement to provide in-product SCCR calculations?
I think, Donald, we've actually had that question before. And tell me, I would love to know more, like what specifically are you trying to do as you ask that question? Because we are always looking at ways that we can increase productivity within electrical. There are some of those things that are a bit more hidden that we can actually do, but through different avenues. But tell me a bit more specifically about what you're looking for. And Mark, yes, please feel free to jump in.
Okay, not to steal his thread, but we have tried to put into our designs the SCCR calculation capability by simply adding components to. We have come down to the fact that we need to put a field, take a field that's existing and modify with SCCR values per component. But to do that per component as an afterthought is not the best way to go, because you've got a database obviously full of component material that we need to tie together to part numbers,
Yeah.
It's just something that we've been working on checking and putting together community testing procedures, which I've been experimenting with many of your built-in tools that I found very helpful, but that is one of the weak areas that I keep hearing about.
And tell me more about what, because I believe we've talked about this on previous calls as well. I mean, is it something where we just need to increase, much like the pin list databases, where that's connected to the catalog? Because we have up to 12 rating attributes that can be connected. So you guys could do it manually.
That's exactly that's exactly what we're up to now. And the problem is you got 40,000 places possibly. And if it were just something that you could ask the vendors to include in their data when they put this component into the database, we could extract it, because we're pulling out fields right now to put together everything else that we're extracting data-wise from this project. Why not just have that so we can put this into a spreadsheet and just do a sum of all this instead of having to have people calculate it manually?
Because some of the, as I'm sure you know, Mark, some of our components do. It automatically, as soon as you assign a part number, that automatically fills out those ratings fields for multiple different types of components. But that shouldn't be, if it needs to happen on a wider scale, that shouldn't be that hard of a lift, and definitely could be something that would be interesting to talk to the product. That's why I wanted to understand better what we were asking for here.
The main reason I ask is because we've got 5 engineers on staff. We're looking at hiring 7 more, and of the 5 we have, there's several who at this point have a lot of trouble calculating the SCCR.
Okay.
What I'm looking at is having this automate part of the design process so that I know it wouldn't be 100%. That's a given, but
Yep.
you could have it 90% of what you needed for your major components, and it would give you a good guide to start with.
Agreed.
So just
Yeah.
Just my 2 cents based on what myself and the other administrator have tried to put together for testing. There's always seems to be a variance in those components that you've got it specified in and those that you don't. Maybe that could be driven back to the vendor and say, if we get your data from, can you make this a standard field and a standard location for us in future databases?
Yeah, I think that's a really good call out. And I think that could be a really strong increase to that particular database, and something I'll definitely bring up with the product team. Donald, I noticed, circling back on this being your core question, that you said that you use the user fields for that. That's great. One of the really big benefits, though, to the catalog database is that if a rating is already associated with that catalog number, you can update the text value field to actually equal the rate and have it automatically fill out as soon as you assign that, so that you don't have to manually add all those lines in there. So it could be something that could take a bit of that manual editing of those user fields down for you a bit if you have it tied to the rating and have that just automatically fill out from the catalog. So just something to call out there, because that way it actually updates the rating attribute in the catalog or in the component, as opposed to it only sitting within catalog data that you have to run reports on. Perhaps that's how you need it. I just wanted to call that out. To the person, let me see, I think, hold on, my chat field is scrolling like crazy. So let me just make sure I go back and find the one that I was just on. Peggy, I think you brought up this comment of component attributes seem to be in random order. I create a lot of components and find having xterm 01, xterm descript and all that, rearranging them within the because it causes errors with the property. So my call out, my question to you is, are you just using the standard attribute editor that we have in vanilla AutoCAD? Like, are you double clicking on the symbol to edit those? Because that's why that's coming in random order. When you actually use the editing tools within electrical, those things automatically get filled out from a very curated dialog box that takes you through those things very specifically. And actually the term values and the xterm descriptions, those are all filled out by the pin list information. So it should actually be in a very collated way that's not random. The random happens when you just double click on on a device and you just use the standard AutoCAD, vanilla AutoCAD editing of an attribute, as opposed to the tools within electrical, which are really powerful. They give you a lot more than manually typing in those fields. That's what gives you access to the catalog databases, the pin list databases, the fields where you can reuse things across your entire project. There's a lot of power to those editing dialog boxes, no pun intended. So sorry, that was a terrible joke, but I had to say it. So I would just recommend that you actually do your editing through that, not through the standard enhanced attribute editor that is vanilla AutoCAD. So hopefully that helps with that question. Let's see. Okay, Thomas, I think we were talking, this one goes back to what we were talking about with the ratings fields. The user field is what we have thought about as well, but already used 2 of the 3 and not sure we wanted to take up the last one. Rating attributes would be hard to have different manufacturers always producing the same one. Personal opinion that it needs its own column. Okay, yeah, that's fair. Remember though that the ratings can pull themselves from the catalog information that comes core from the vendors, and then that can automatically fill out your ratings field. So there is a bit more automation to that, so that it is based on the manufacturer, each manufacturer being its own thing. That's why I definitely understand if, then always needing a different kind of version of it. But fair enough, maybe it's its own column. Maybe we need to look at that with the product team and we need to come up with our own way to do that. And then, yeah, Alex, I think you were writing back to Peggy. I still would avoid everybody, and this is me. You're going to get me on a soapbox on this, but over the years, and I'm sorry, I didn't actually go into my full introduction. We just jumped straight in. But for any of you that don't know me, I have been an Autodesk consultant, user, instructor, certified instructor, and now I'm actually a director of a global team here within consulting for Autodesk. But my main core product that I have always supported has been AutoCAD and AutoCAD Electrical for the last 16 years. And I've been using AutoCAD Electrical since its inception to our product line when it moved over from being via WD. So the biggest thing that I will stand on a soapbox about is, while it is fully integrated into AutoCAD, and while you can use all of the core vanilla functionality, wherever there is electrical functionality to do something, use that over the core vanilla functionality. So what I mean by that is, don't go back to those core attribute editors that come from vanilla AutoCAD. They will work. And what that means is anybody could open up any one of your electrical drawings that doesn't have AutoCAD Electrical, and they can still see everything that you have within your drawing. They can still make edits to it. But the power and the functionality of electrical really comes from the tools and the dialog boxes and the databases that we have to make it so much more automated. Your life will be 1,000 times easier within electrical if you utilize those tools over going back to the core vanilla AutoCAD tools. So I strongly suggest getting in and digging into those electrical tools. It's often why new users, I really suggest you go through a training class. The way I used to teach them when they were live, they would be 4 days, and it was typically 1 day to do AutoCAD updates to really get as active as possible within vanilla AutoCAD, but then spending 3 days really doing full essentials and productivity to make you fully functional in electrical, so that you understand all of the things that electrical can do for you outside of the vanilla AutoCAD tools that also come along with it. It's beautiful that they're married, but wherever there are things that are core electrical, utilize those, because you're going to have a much better experience and far less opportunity for error or manual efforts. My kind of running comment in all of my years of instructing was that if you're doing something manually, you're probably not using the full tools and the full power of AutoCAD Electrical, because you really should remove a lot of manual efforts by utilizing the tools that we have within it. So yes, while AutoCAD Attribute Manager is a great tool, I would strongly advise you actually use the insert edit component dialog boxes, insert edit for the wire numbers, insert edit for all of the, using the symbol builder, which is a core AutoCAD thing, but that with the actual, well, let me change how I say that. Using the symbol builder, which is an electrical tool inside our block editor environment, which is core the vanilla AutoCAD. Those things are going to help you be so much more productive in creating symbols as well. So there's all these little things that are AutoCAD plus, and that's the electrical. That's really the power that we get out of all of those tools. So if you've not been through all of those, I would highly recommend it. And I don't know if anybody has the link quickly to it from the Autodesk team, but if not, we can get it sent out to this whole group. I actually recorded a self-paced training that's kind of a quick start to my standard essentials class that I used to teach, to be able to get everybody up and running quickly if you want to do it self-paced. I still don't think it fully replaces having an instructor-led class. There's something really powerful with that. But it would definitely help those of you who are trying to get up and running quickly if you wanted to be able to watch. I do these little vignette recordings, and then I have exercises for you to do too, to try things out. So I would highly recommend going through that if you're looking for a bit more support and help around how to utilize electrical in a really productive manner. Okay. All right. And then awesome. Love hearing somebody using the symbol builder. That's brilliant. I love that. Yeah, I'm noticing some tips and tricks here amongst others, and I love that. I love that you're all helping each other. Again, though, I would highly recommend you're not copying and pasting attributes from one page to another. Get those built into your core symbols and get those into your symbol libraries so that you can just use them with a single click by accessing them from the symbol library, so that you're not trying to copy and paste from drawing to drawing. I promise it will make your life easier. So just a little tip.
May I add something?
Absolutely.
Without interrupting?
Yes. Thanks, Mark.
The process of teaching people has shown me a lot of things. Do not start anyone working on the home tab, start on the schematic tab.
Exactly.
Now, when you do that, you're going to say, well, I have mechanical drawings. I have this. I make a custom tab for your schematic layouts on your schematic for the few non-electrical commands, and get people's mindset on the schematic tab with that custom tab rather than have them flip all around. You will find that they learn quicker. It is much easier to avoid future errors. And if what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be rolling that out as a standard across everyone's computer. So it's everyone's computer is identical. You can go from mine to hers to his, and it's all going to be the same, the way that it should be. And you can cut 90% of your mistakes out that way.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, that's the beautiful part of electrical, is it does allow us to have drawings that are not electrically intelligent, but they can all be a part of your project. So if you're using the project manager, you keep all of them connected. That way you can update all your title blocks together in one, but you don't, you know what, you can still use all that great vanilla AutoCAD functionality, but you also have, all the electrical tools to make your life easier. So I think that's a great call out, Mark. I love that. And I love the idea of the custom tabs and additional options. Great points. Trond, I see your question. Great to see you again on here. Thanks for joining. Yeah, I think, I feel like we've talked about this in the past with automation ML. It's definitely something I know is being discussed. I'm not sure. I can't give you the future looking plans of how all that comes together, but I know that, how we interact with data, how things move across our full platform, how everything is happening, is something we are very actively working on and very actively pursuing for that interconnection of all the data. So I think that that's a great call to, and something that, you know, as more to come to share out. Yep, and Mark, I saw your point on error reduction. Yes, thank you. I think that's the crucial thing. That's really what I love so much about AutoCAD Electrical, is the massive amount of error reduction that it provides us, because it takes all of that manual effort out. So that is absolutely huge. And yeah, we'll try to get, I think I've had some people ping me privately for that link to the self-paced training. We'll make sure we get that link out to this group to make sure that you guys can get access to all of that. And oh, thank you for the clarification, Thomas. That was really helpful. Sorry, as I paused because I'm reading the chat window. If you all are doing that with me, there was a comment there as we were talking about copying attributes from drawing to drawing and such, of making symbols to be able to do that. And agreed. But again, I would even and then that's absolutely fair for doing that when you're building your symbol itself. But I strongly recommend, if you've not used the symbol builder, it is so simple, the drag and drop that you can do when you go in and say, I need this kind of device. It's going to be a parent, it's going to be a child, it's going to be a horizontal, it's going to be vertical, and it will make all of the attributes and the things that you need. And if you guys have never done this, you can literally shift select every one of those attributes, and they all drag onto your device immediately, and they're placed automatically. And it's all by the use of our attribute templates, which you can also make your own attribute template. So to your point, Thomas, you know, if you have a way you like to see your attributes on screen that's different than how they come with the software, you can create your own attribute templates within Electrical, and then you can have those really be what's used to drag and drop attributes onto your symbols. But it makes symbol building, I mean, I can build a symbol in 15 seconds, 20 seconds. So it's very, very speedy in doing that. And our symbol builder ensures things. I think I saw a question about layers. I'm sure many of you know this, but for some of you that don't, I mean, I spent the early 90s part of my career not really realizing this about layers in my early time, that layer 0 is a very, very special layer. If you all don't know this, many of you on here probably do. But layer 0 was built for blocks. So the beauty of layer 0 is you build a block on layer 0, and that will then accept all of the layer properties of whatever layer you then insert that block on, no matter what it is, so that it picks up the line types and the color and all of the other information. Now, the incredibly special part about Electrical is that Electrical does all of its own layer management. The only layers you actually put into Electrical are your wire type layers, so that you can choose things like, I know I'm going to need red 18 gauge, or, you know, white 16 gauge, whatever it may be. You can put the colors and the gauges and all that, the sizing that you need. But other than that, all of the layer management happens automatically. So a single block, where in vanilla functionality, if you moved it to one layer, it would just take on the properties of that whole layer. A block in Electrical, as long as you build it on layer 0, which is how the symbol builder is set up for you, when you do that, all of the little device tags, the attributes around location codes, installation codes, the pin list information, the description text, all of that goes out automatically to their own specific layers. And that happens, I wish Randy was on here, because Randy would say auto magically. It's his keyword, so I won't steal it from him. I'll give him credit, but it's auto magically happening where it does that. And so it's that plus that I was talking about on top of core vanilla functionality that really happens within Electrical. We see that inside AutoCAD Mechanical as well. So a lot of what we consider the verticals or the add-ons to AutoCAD have these extra functionalities within layers. And so yes, those templates are built on 0 for those attribute templates. You just drag and drop them onto your symbol in the symbol builder to build your whole new symbol, and then that goes into your symbol library together. The attribute templates aren't used by themselves. You don't just insert an attribute template into your drawing. You use that to curate how your symbol is created inside the symbol builder, just to clarify. Okay, I think there was another question from Thomas. The attribute template used in the symbol builder, if I set up a custom template, will support attributes on different layers than standard, or does it just do physical locations? I'm not sure I understand the question. It definitely does the physical location of the attributes. It also does the text values, the size, the things that you're putting into it, and the font type, but you want it all on 0. You wouldn't want to put it on any other layer, because that would actually be forcing a break of the massive functionality that electrical provides of moving everything to the appropriate layer. So in that case, you can do deeper layer management if you don't like the automated layers of electrical utilizing your project properties, but you wouldn't do that symbol by symbol. So if that's what you're asking, I would highly recommend you don't do it symbol by symbol. I would do it, everything within the symbol builder and those attribute templates are layer 0, but do that layer management on your full project properties so that all those can be updated. Hopefully that makes sense. Great questions, everybody. I love the discussion. Anything else? Brandon, yes.
Yep. So that's it. Brandon raised his hand. You can feel free to come off of mute, Brandon.
Hi, kind of along the lines of when Tiffany was talking about pushing electrical to do certain things. I'd love to see the parametric PLC function become just the component generator, parametric generator, so it can be able to handle other things than just PLCs. I've kind of forced it.
Yes, the spreadsheet to PLC IO utility
Nope,
be automated.
Just the menu itself, so it can generate PLCs. But I'd love it to be able to generate. Right now I have it generating network switches, because it's essentially got its own block library in there that you can add to it, which you can't really do in the symbol builder. So like RJ45 connections, SFP ports, anything you can basically build, and you can kind of mimic a PLC, how it tagged. But I'd love it to be able to, hey, this is actually a control relay, or this is actually a network switch, and you can add the WD block name to it and kind of force it to look at that, but it's still always going to bring up the PLC menu. I'd love it to be able to change that.
Is it because you need devices to be able to change their sizing difference between, because really the reason why that one's so different than the rest of the symbol builders is because knowing that every one of us on this call could have different spacing for our ladder rungs and how a PLC would get attached, as opposed to it being a hard-coded block of size, it then allows you to build them how you need them, what the model definition is, but then when you insert them, it automatically updates knowing what is the spacing that I have? Is that where you're looking for? You want that parametric ability.
And it's technically way easier to make like say a 10-port switch, and I need a 20-port. I can literally just copy 6 rows or 10 rows and make 10 more RJ45 ports and change that, and I'm done. To me, it's just I think it's way more intuitive, and I'd love to see that expanded upon.
Yeah, no, I like that. I guess what I was trying to dig into was the parametric side of it, or was it the ease of the multiples like you just talked about? Because the one thing I'm seeing, if I can pull up electrical quickly in the time that we have left, I mean, I had it open knowing we may need to get in here, but getting into the what I want to show you guys, let's see if I can pull this up quickly and then share my screen. Why I was asking was because there is sometimes what a lot of people consider hidden. And Brandon, I know that you're an expert user, so I'm sure you probably know this, but for others, there is a faster way to do multiple wire connection points if you don't need that parametric. That's why I was trying to dig into, is it the parametric ability to adjust sizing, or is it just getting multiple rows in? Because one of the things that we have, and now I'll finally share my screen, is the ability to, when we go into our, and I have my Zoom window on top of all of this, hold on. When we go into our symbol builder, And I am not going to pick anything specific here. I'm just going to get us in there quickly. So for those that didn't know what I was talking about, so this is our block editor environment, but this is the symbol builder itself that's specific to electrical that gives us so much more opportunity to grab all of the attributes and things needed for different kinds of devices. What I was going to start to say is one of the things that's kind of built in but hidden in this wire connection data, I can go in here and under where you see it just say left and none, this is actually a drop down box if you click into it, which a lot of people have said like, well, I can't see an arrow. I didn't even know that was a drop down box. You can switch between, are you making a wire connection from the left, top, bottom, right, radial, like our 3-phase motors. But this other section is the part I wanted to say is a bit hidden. If you go in here and you choose the type of terminal that you want, and there's other options that you can add to this dialog box, but if I were to take a standard screw and then say that I wanted, you can choose how wires connect around all of these, much like we can do with the way the PLCs. Is the wire coming from the left, from the right, all those same things we do inside that PLC database editor. Let's just say all of them are coming only from the left. I can then say how many of them I want. And I can even choose, I can either select on screen and place them, or I can say, you know what, I want to make sure that my row offset is by 1 each time, because I know I'm going to always use 1-inch spacing because that's my company standard, whatever that may be. Then it comes in with all the attributes you need. You can fill out default values. And when you go to insert, they all come in an automatic row really fast, and they're added immediately to that symbol, that attribute editor. And let's say this was just something that I needed a quick rectangle around, I could just build what that base box area is around it, right, very quickly. And obviously I did that just by hand drawing as opposed to giving it dimensions, but that can do that very, very quickly, much easier than trying to insert and create the circles and build all those things. So that's why I was trying to ask that, Brandon, is it the parametricness that it can size and adjust no matter what your spacing is, or is it this speed of creating multiple connections really fast? Because there is this little option inside of the symbol builder that I wanted to make sure everybody saw, but that's a great point. And I love that about, there's a lot I want to do. When you first brought it up, Brandon, I actually thought you were talking about the spreadsheet to PLC IO utility to do everything. Not, if anybody doesn't know what that is, that auto generates drawings for you. It will create your entire drawing, put your template in, put all of the the ladders in, the wires, the PLCs, and then up to 9 inline devices with your PLC on every IO point. And quite a few years back, I think I've talked about it on this call before, but a few years back for AU, I think it was AU 2016, if you're going back to look at the data from our Autodesk universities that are still online, I teamed up with a customer and we actually we hacked the spreadsheet to PLC IO utility, and we stretched it to doing far more than just PLC pages. We actually had to do their entire schematic drawings and automate that entire process using the functionality that was already in there. So we didn't have to write a new program to automate it. We used what was already in electrical. We just hacked it slightly so it didn't have to just be for PLCs, that it could do all schematic drawings. So lots of cool things that you can do with the tools that are already built in there. But that was a great call out, Brandon. Thank you. And Tiffany Weisbrod has joined us. She is here. Welcome to the office hours, Tiff.
Hi, sorry I'm so late.
No, you're good. I told everybody that you weren't going to be able to make it today, but that, stand by. It was going to be the double Tiff show coming up more. And then there was a lot of comments around, oh no, can we handle 2 Tiffany's? I said, I don't know, we might break Zoom. That's right. That's right. Good deal. Well, great questions today, everybody. I appreciate the time. I appreciate, oh, did I miss? I think there might have been one more. Let's see if we can catch one more and then I'll pass it back to you. Let's see. What was, with the parametric builder, is the reason behind it generating a random block name each time because of all those options? No. So The parametric builder will still, the name of those blocks are pre-baked based off of the catalog values that are built into them. It doesn't randomize the block name as much as it allows you, because when you go to insert it, it's that specific block. When you're building a new one, you can build it. You don't do what Brandon was describing every time you need to insert one. You would go in and say, I know I need an Allen Bradley 1756 IB16, and it would build that. What you do inside that editor is you either edit what that IB16 looks like if you need different things to it, or you're building yet another one if it's not in there. Like maybe you have custom ones, maybe you use a manufacturer that we don't have that's within the product, and you can just build it to be how you want it. But those are already built based off of, we find them and curate them based off of the manufacturer and catalog number. Great question. All right. Well, with that, I will pass it back to the community team. I don't know. I think I'm passing it. Yes. Thanks.
Tiffany. Okay, so we just have a couple of quick slides that we want to go through just before we finish up and wrap up for today. Basically, if you're looking to engage in the community in other ways, you can visit our Autodesk group network. We also have industry-focused communities, specifically focused on the industry instead of products. And then obviously, I feel like a lot of you on this call know we have our Autodesk forums. And also we do have a Facebook and Twitter page as well. So we would love to see you guys get connected and stay connected and see you around the community. It's always nice to see friendly faces. And then the last quick thing is thank you, obviously, for attending, and thank you, Tiffany, for hosting. And we would love to get your feedback on the experience today. In the chat window, we are going to be putting our survey link. We would really, really encourage you guys to go on there and take that survey, because with your feedback, we are able to tailor these more to what you guys want to see, and we just love to get your input on all of that. So please take that survey. And yeah, just continue to stay connected in the Autodesk community, and we'll see you all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.